It is in this giant castle of a demon king in the demon realm Helmud, that we see our heroes, the warrior Vermouth and his 4 companions, in the midst of their quest to liberate the world. They have ventured into the demon realm Helmud and have already killed 3 of the 5 demon kings, leaving only 2 remaining. It is for this reason that they charge into battle against the demon king army. With swords and powerful magic, they easily destroy the small armies in front of them. The heroes were named Vermouth the Great, Senya the Wise, Anise the Believer, Moron the Brave, and Hamel the Fool. Hamel was always jealous of Vermouth. During their battle in the castle, after exterminating the small army, Vermouth was attacked from behind by a demon. Not seeing the attack, Hamel protects him and takes the blow in his place, leaving a huge hole in his chest. Hamel faints on the ground and Vermouth, in anger, kills the demon in one blow. His teammates kneel around Hamel and realize that there is not much left to do for him. Vermouth is angry and ashamed of himself while saying that he shouldn't have done that. Hamel tells him that it is a beautiful death and that he regrets not being honest with his companions. And on Hamel's last breath, he makes Vermouth swear to defeat the 2 demon kings remaining. And it is on this magnificent moment of farewell to all his friends that we are interrupted by a little white-haired boy who seems furious, tapping his foot on a book, saying that he never said that it's nonsense and a children's book. He proclaims himself to be Hamel, reincarnated while remembering his past life. He growls, wondering who the bastard was who wrote this 300 years ago and named him Hamel the Fool. The boy is apparently a descendant of Vermouth. He is 13 years old and his name is Eugene Lionheart. He belongs to an indirect branch. After Hamel died, Vermouth had a wife and several concubines. As he is considered a member of the family branch, he does not have the right to train with mana or with a real sword before a ritual called blood succession. He therefore trains with a wooden sword by destroying his training dummy. His terrifying technique and his body built like a bodybuilder scare his father, who is afraid that Eugene could probably beat him in close combat with such muscles and that he does not speak or act like a child even though he is only 13 years old. His father announces to him that the blood succession ritual is scheduled for tomorrow. The blood succession ritual is a tradition held by the Lionheart family every 10 years. All the children from the bastard and main branches of the family between the ages of 10 and 15 must gather at the main family residence. There, they must fight and prove that they are worthy of the Lionheart name. But the branches of the family have a disadvantage because they are not allowed to train their mana or possess a real weapon. This ensures that the direct lineage will do better than the other branches. His father is worried for him and advises him not to compete with the children from the main branch because he does not stand a chance. He does not think his son is up to the challenge. Eugene lies and says he will not participate. He is impatient and excited to see what the descendants of Vermouth are capable of. He sets off towards the main family house. During the journey, Eugene thinks about his old companions. Vermouth was nicknamed the God of War, and was praised as a warrior until the end. Senya has become the youngest master of the magic tower in the kingdom of Arath. Anise has become a saint in the holy empires of Eurus. Moron has established a kingdom and named it after himself. But what worries Eugene is why the Demon King is still alive. Vermouth told him that he would kill all the Demon Kings on Hamel's deathbed, yet the 2 remaining ones, the one that he died trying to kill, is still alive, which infuriate him. It is on these unanswered questions that Eugene arrives at the main Lionheart house. At his arrival he is not greeted by anyone and asks if the others have already arrived. The guide tells him that Eugene is the first one and introduces him to his servant Nina, who is 16 years old and has just finished her training as a servant. Eugene asks Nina how long it will take for the other family members to arrive, and she tells him they should arrive within 4 days. Eugene decides to spend this time at the main house to train. We then see 2 young children who have a silver emblem with a lion's head on it, indicating that they are from the main family. They talk about the newcomer, who is the same age as them, and look down on him. They decide to go see him and reprimand him. Back in the training room, Eugene notices that with his new Lionheart body, he can train much more, never gets sick, and his injuries heal faster. Eugene is very pleased that this body is so useful and trains at the lance in front of Nina, who is impressed that Eugene is so fast even with weights on him and his lance. It is then that Cyan, one of the twins, shows up, with a condescending tone asking Nina what Eugene is doing. Eugene interrupts him, telling him that he is training with the lance and calling him an idiot. Cyan takes the insult badly and asks him to apologize. Eugene nonchalantly apologizes without meaning it. which angers Cyan even more and amuses his sister Seal. Cyan spots a wooden sword on the ground, which he quickly picks up, threatening Eugene that he has dishonored him and demands a duel. Eugene tells him not to take a duel lightly. Cyan provokes him by asking if he is scared and proclaims that his parents surely did not teach him what honor is. Without hesitation, Eugene removes his weights and his mail coat, which crash to the ground indicating that they were very heavy, and asks Cyan to toss the handkerchief with a killer's eyes. Cyan begins to think that Eugene might not be so weak after all and starts to become afraid, but he cannot back down because his sister would mock him. He throws the handkerchief, and suddenly, with the last weight removed, Eugene says, "I accept," and in one devastating blow impales Cyan in the chest, causing him to fall to the ground and his wooden sword to fly. Afterward Eugene says only 2 words, "I win." Cyan vomits, and Seal, annoyed, tells Eugene that the fight was not honorable. Eugene replies that he attacked after the handkerchief touched the ground, which is the rule. Cyan, still angry, insults him, but Eugene responds that if he is truly a descendant of the Lionheart family, he must humbly admit his defeat after losing a duel. Suddenly, the butler and the twin knights step in. He introduces himself as Instructor Hezar. He asks Eugene what happened. Eugene explains that he comes from Giddel and is the son of Sir Jehed's family. Cyan sought to fight him and insulted his father. He then asks Hezar if this reason was not sufficient enough to accept the duel. Hezar, speechless, takes Cyan inside to tend to his wounds. Seal, who seems rather friendly, says, "See you." Inside, Cyan explains to his mother Anisilla, who is the second wife of the main family, what happened outside. She keeps a smile on her face and begins to point her fan aggressively at her son. She asks Hezar for confirmation if the young boy Eugene has really never been trained in mana, which Hezar confirms as he detected no mana in the young man. After hearing the summary of what happened, Anisilla slaps her son, saying that he embarrasses her and that someone named Theonis will mock her. While Cyan apologizes, she asks Hezar to train her son more so that he never disgraces her again. Cyan leaves with Hezar, and Seal and her mother start talking about Eugene. She asks Seal to be friends with him, which Seal accepts very kindly. The next day, 3 other boys from the bastard branches arrive at the residence: Deacon, Hansen, and Jules. Eugene, who is still training, is interrupted by Nina, who warns him that 2 more children from the branches are coming, but also that the patriarch has arrived. Nina advises him to change his clothes, but Eugene says he will be late and prefers to greet him while sweating. At the entrance, he sees the second wife, Anisilla, and her twins, and notices that the person in front of her is the first wife, Theonis, and that the little boy next to her is the oldest son of the main family, the first in line for succession, Iode Lionheart. They finally see the patriarch, Giard Lionheart, on his horse, and behind him, a young man who seems quite young, who is his younger brother, Kyan. Giard greets his oldest son first and asks him how he is improving. Iode answers with a very intimidated and scared voice, which annoys his father. He then passes greetings to his twins, his brother, and to the children of the branches, including Eugene, and tells them to have a meal together and discuss the ritual during it. The meal begins and Eugene notices the 2 last people of the family branches who have come through the gate, a young, muscular boy named Gargus and a calm, tempered girl named Desira. But he also notices a man who appears young with long blonde hair and a big smile. Seal then asks his father who this mysterious character is. He introduces himself as Roberian, and at that moment all the children are very surprised just by hearing his name, which according to their expressions, is famous, except for Eugene who has never heard of him before. It is when Iode, the eldest son, says, "the master of the Red Magic Tower," that Eugene spits out his coffee in amazement, realizing that if he is indeed the master of the Red Magic Tower, he must be one of Senya's disciples. Eugene is confused at the idea of meeting someone so close to one of his former companions. The patriarch, intrigued by the recent duel where Cyan had dishonored him and his father, asks for Eugene's name. Eugene introduces himself and says he feels no anger towards him. The patriarch asks if it's because he won the duel. Eugene replies that he would have felt the same if he had lost, as he wouldn't have been able to protect his own honor. It is his duty to accept this fact. The patriarch likes his answer and tells him that he is better than his son. He then asks if it was his father who taught him these skills. Eugene replies that his father taught him the basics and then he trained himself. The patriarch smiles and says that this ritual will be interesting. After eating, The patriarch begins to explain that he does not appreciate the fact that the branches' families are disadvantaged for the ritual because the branches have not been able to train in mana or with real weapons. He then says that even if 3 of his children participate, he will check the potential of every child named Lionheart. Eugene smiles, thinking that Giard is nicer than his ancestor. The patriarch continues by saying that this is why Roberian is here. He snaps his fingers and an hologram of a large labyrinth is drawn. It is he who organized the test and created this labyrinth. He explains that each participant will enter a different entrance and the goal is to defeat the boss in the middle of the labyrinth. There are also traps and monsters on the way that are created by magic. He then warns them that they are illusions, but they look and feel like reality. When the boss is defeated, the ritual will end immediately, and everyone will receive a score assigned according to their accomplishments. One of the boys asks what happens if they are unable to escape the labyrinth. Roberian replies that if you ask for help, he will teleport directly to you to get you out, but you will have a low score. Eugene then asks what the reward is for defeating the boss monster. Giard smiles and suddenly says that he will allow anyone to take an item they want from the main family's treasure trove, which greatly interests Eugene. After the meal, Eugene is approached by the 2 new guys from the branches who came through the gate.